The Organization of Women in Trade is proud to honor Caribbean Justice, Mme Justice Chantal Ononaiwu, Justice of the Caribbean Court of Justice, for her exemplary career achievements and distinguished leadership in international trade law, regional trade policy, academia, and the judiciary. On 29 October 2024, Justice Ononaiwu was sworn in as a judge of the Caribbean Court of Justice, the CCJ, becoming the third female to hold this esteemed position. With 15 years of exemplary service at the CARICOM Secretariat, she was Director of External Trade, where she played a pivotal role in shaping and coordinating CARICOM's external trade policy. As an international trade litigator, she has represented CARICOM before the CCJ and served as a panelist in a dispute adjudicated by the World Trade Organization. In her capacity as an international trade negotiator, she has advised CARICOM and its member states on trade and investment matters and has participated as a negotiator in international trade negotiations. Her leadership extends to investment promotion, having served as Director of Value Proposition Development at Invest Barbados, and to international legal reform as Vice Chair of the Digital Standards Initiative Legal Reform Advisory Board of the International Chamber of Commerce. A dedicated academic, she has lectured in international trade and investment law, public international law, and criminal law at the University of the West Indies. She has also facilitated professional training programs to enhance understanding of the CCJ's jurisdiction among judges and legal practitioners across the region. Her scholarly contributions include published works in international trade law, investment law, public international law, and constitutional law. She currently serves as president of the Caribbean branch of the International Law Association and is the first diversity and inclusion officer of the International Law Association. A Rhodes Scholar, she holds a Doctor of Philosophy in Law from the University of Oxford, a Master of Law from the University of Cambridge, and a Bachelor of Laws with first-class honors from the University of the West Indies, as well as a Legal Education Certificate of Merit from the Norman Manley Law School. With impeccable grace, poise, and dedication, Justice Ononaiwu navigates the complexities of her roles as devoted wife and mother, erudite attorney, and now distinguished jurist, earning the esteem and admiration of her peers and community. CWIT is delighted to honor Mme Justice Chantal Ononaiwu, CWIT Woman of the Year 2025. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrea. And now we invite Justice Ononaiwu to respond.
Thank you so much, Andrea Hewitt, President of the Caribbean Women in Trade, Dr. Genevieve Remy, and other members of the Board of Caribbean Women in Trade, Ambassador Gail Matherin, dearest colleagues, friends, and family. Good evening. I extend deep appreciation and gratitude to Caribbean Women in Trade for this honor. It is meaningful to be recognized for my contribution to international trade, a field to which I devoted much of my career. It is particularly special for this honor to be bestowed by CWIT, which has worked assiduously in service of its mission to foster a community that supports the advancement of Caribbean women in international trade. As a graduate law student, I was attracted to international economic relations because of its interface between law and policy. As a practitioner in the area, my appreciation of the integral importance of international trade to the sustainable development of the Caribbean deepened. International trade is the lifeblood of our small economies and permeates all aspects of our lives. Whether you work in a large conglomerate active in multiple areas of economic activity, you're a service provider with overseas clients, or depend on imports for your business. International trade policy and international trade rules that support our development priorities and imperatives are critical. I was privileged to work intimately on many facets of CARICOM's trade policy as an international trade lawyer with the Caribbean Regional Negotiating Machinery and later the CARICOM Secretariat. Serving in this capacity allowed me to gain invaluable experience in trade policy formulation and advocacy, negotiation of international trade agreements, litigation and adjudication of international trade disputes, and trade capacity building. I'm grateful for the opportunity to continue to be of service to CARICOM as a judge of the Caribbean Court of Justice, an institution which is critical to respect for the rule of law in our community. I warmly thank Ambassador Matherin, Dr. Remy, Ms. Dawes, and of course, Ms. Ewart for their kind words. I also wish to acknowledge the presence of my brother, Justice Winston Anderson, and my sister, Mme Justice Maureen Rajnath Lee, and my sisters from the Caribbean Association of Women Judges and the Jamaican Association of Women Judges for their support this evening. My professional growth was inspired and spurred by so many talented and dedicated Caribbean women in international trade. I wish to salute them, though by no means exhaustively, in my remarks. In our member states, there are relatively small teams of trade officials carrying large workloads, not only in terms of volume, but significance. These are capital-based officials, as well as officials who represent their countries and form the CARICOM caucuses overseas in spaces such as Geneva, Brussels, and Washington, D.C. It was a pleasure to work with these officials, many of whom are women, and don't get enough credit for the yeoman service they provide. During my tenure at the CARICOM Secretariat, it was also empowering to witness the leadership of women heads of government and foreign ministers, whether it was through their efforts to advance the CARICOM single market and economy, raise the profile of issues concerning small island developing states in the global arena, advance efforts to deepen and broaden CARICOM's trade relations with a range of partners, deliver outcomes as minister facilitators at WTO ministerial conferences, or expertly chair meetings of organs of the community. I've had the privilege of working with or in close proximity to other Caribbean women who help the region use trade as a tool for building resilience. Women who work with business support organizations, development banks, and with development partners like the European Union and the UK to build the trade capacity of our countries and the competitiveness of our firms. Women lawyers in private practice advising their clients of their rights under the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas and CARICOM's external trade agreements, and in some cases using litigation to ensure that those rights are respected. Other women entrepreneurs. Women working in and in some cases leading CARICOM institutions with mandates that are critical to the successful operation of the CSME. Women mainstreaming trade issues in the public's consciousness, like Elizabeth Morgan through her weekly column in the Jamaica Gleaner, and Alicia Nichols through her Caribbean Trade Law blog. Through the persistent efforts of the Sridath Ramphal Center for International Trade Law Policy and Services, now ably led by Dr. Genevieve Remy, hundreds of professionals have been trained in international trade policy. During her tenure as executive director of the SRC, Pamela Coke-Hamilton, who later headed Caribbean Export and now heads the International Trade Center, roped me in to teach international trade and investment law on the SRC's flagship program, the MSc in International Trade Policy, in 2006. Since then, I've had the privilege of teaching multiple cohorts of MITP students, along with other law lecturers like Sanya Aline and Nicole Foster. It has been immensely rewarding to see so many of my former students go on to serve their countries, the region, and internationally with distinction. I was inspired to serve as a panelist of a World Trade Organization dispute because exceptional Caribbean women had previously served in that capacity. Specifically, Dr. Kathy Ann Brown, who is now a judge of the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea, and Andrea Marie Dawes, the former executive director of the Jamaica Anti-Dumping and Subsidies Commission. I'm proud that other Caribbean trade lawyers like Dr. Remy and Ms. Keisha Ann Thompson have also served as WTO dispute settlement panelists. Finally, I wish to pay tribute to the Caribbean women in trade who were my former colleagues at the CARICOM Secretariat. Again, it was inspiring to appear alongside them as counsel in cases before the CCJ in its original jurisdiction, or watch them give critical expert testimony in cases before the court. To see them make critical contributions to the development of Caribbean community law through their work to support the elaboration of new rules under the revised treaty and build awareness among stakeholders across the region about their rights and obligations under the treaty. In the case of Ambassador Gail Mathrin, to lead the external trade team for over a decade through multiple institutional changes. To see them provide stellar coordination of CARICOM's hemispheric and bilateral trade relations, including through the free trade area of the Americas negotiations and the CARICOM Canada trade negotiations, and to work closely with them to enhance and build capacity in trade policy in CARICOM on a myriad of complex trade issues like services trade policy. Nation building and building a community is tough work, undertaken in very challenging circumstances. However, we have to seize and maximize our opportunities to become resilient and globally competitive, including by developing and harnessing the talents of our people. To our young Caribbean women in trade, I encourage you to make the most of each opportunity you have to build your skills and expertise so that you can be of service to your community, our community. I close by expressing gratitude to my colleagues, my friends, my family, particularly my husband, Keith, my children, Kanu and Kenna, my mother and sister who are on this call at the moment, and the other cherished members of my Ononaiwu and Robertson family for your enduring love and support on my journey. Again, thank you all for this honor.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Justice, for your inspiring words. And it's so true that it's, I knew that one of the things you wanted to do was to acknowledge those who have gone before you, those who have supported you, those who have also inspired you, just as you are in turn inspiring so many of us on this call. So thank you very, very much. Before we close the formal portion of the this event, I just want to do one more thing, which is to announce that Madam Justice is being bestowed with a lifetime membership with Caribbean Women in Trade. And we are also bestowing that honor on Ambassador Maturin, who I think may have left because she wasn't feeling so well. And as I said, Ambassador Maturin was honored when we, or acknowledged, her contributions were acknowledged when we had our launch. So welcome to CWIT as a member, Madam Justice. So again, we will put some information about CWIT and how to join in chat.